Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for March 28th through April 3rd, 2022. So before I begin, I'd just like to welcome everyone and also to welcome you back this week, and so also anyone who might be new to the community of angelic wisdom, um, and just highlight just for a moment. So sorry, seeing some things. It seems like there was starting with some images right as I'm beginning my welcome. Um, so let's see where to go. I'm going to just trust that that information will remain there with me for a moment. And first of all, I just want to thank everyone for their participation in the logo design and for your feedback and encouragement as well. It I'm gonna go through and sort of tally. So I just want to just let you all know that if you haven't seen the post on my um, Facebook page or I think I posted on Twitter as well, and here on YouTube. So I give everyone like the rest of the weekend to kind of chime in. Again, the two images, one is green and predominantly, and the other one's purple. And the clarity, the quality of the green one is not the same as the purple one because I had to crop it from a previous photo, so that probably did a little bit with the quality of it. So we just wanted you to really focus on the color scheme. I see that some people like the purple, I think because it seems a bit more clearer and bolder. And what I'm probably going to have um, the designer do is go back and sort of um, clean that up so that you can see it more on an even um, footing with in terms of the photo quality. But we will also, before we do that, we might make some adjustments, and then just get feedback again, and then we'll finalize everything from there. But I do appreciate your input, and especially because people have been giving some feedback about the green one in terms of the perspective that it offers. Well, you've been doing that with, I think I've been getting that with both. Um, so that's very helpful, and that's kind of what I'm really looking for. Is the how the two different color designs impact, and which one you feel might really resonate with viewers and speak to viewers, um, or potential people who are, um, discovering the angel school. And okay, so also for this year, since this is sort of my 10th anniversary year on YouTube and officially doing the angel readings, I really committed myself to it when I started the Angel School YouTube page. So this year, I'm offering my first time promotional angel reading for everyone this year, um, as a thank you. And be aware that all of my other readings are there as well to help you. So there's an email reading, there's a half-hour reading, and you can have this first time promotional reading all year. Um, so just wanted you to be aware of that. And also, I will be posting probably soon the monthly angel reading, and then I'll do within another week the zodiac readings. Okay. And for next month, I've been working on, with all of this stuff, I've been working on a workshop. So it will probably be around, I'm not quite sure, but somewhere around 11, 12, 15, some dollars or something like that. And it is with the mer people, merfolk or mermaids, as we know them, and the Lemurians. So there's a lot of information that has been coming through that they wanted to share. So I'll be looking forward to doing that. And as soon as we get everything settled with the website, but hopefully by the end of the month, we will have that and up and running, and I'll be able to do that. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and just tune into our heart space and really just be aware of your angels' guidance and the messages. Now, what's curious is that what I'm remembering is that there was a vision being shown to me, and I saw a fireman, which is the first time I've ever seen that as a vision for any of my readings. And then I saw a bridge. I mean, it was only half of a bridge, which is interesting. But it was sort of like there was a tall cliff, and the bridge. It was a very ornate metal bridge, but it only went about halfway. So it's curious because the first card I pulled for Monday's daily card messages was the messenger of fire from this deck, which is the Knight of Wands. And so the Knight of Wands is sort of like someone who kind of is just impulsive, and they follow wherever there's a purpose or need to serve. They will jump in fearlessly into the fire, so to speak, um, and do what is needed. And so this is very different, maybe say from the Knight of Pentacles, who likes to create a plan, think things through, make sure everything's organized. And there are many of us on a less serious matter where that applies. Before we act, we want to make sure we have everything prepared because we believe that this is the best way to proceed and to be successful and to be able to replicate a model of success. But then there's the Knight of Wands is sort of at the other end, and I feel like he's like the epitome of the fool, in that he is ready to dive in. He follows his heart, and wherever his passion is burning, he goes for it first. Like, faith. He takes that leap. So there are a few things also going through my mind as well about this. So, seeing the fireman is about putting out a fire, possibly. And it may be something in alignment with your ascension process. So for some of you, there might be some really powerful clearing in this week, or pay attention to not being things happen in an unexpected way and not being prepared, or like you like to be prepared for it and have everything worked out, but it may just require you to take a leap of faith. And I was just talking about this with a client yesterday, and it's this understanding that with faith, you may not have all of the answers. All you have is desire. All you have is an awareness of an opportunity, but you may not know what the end game is. You may not know how you're going to get there, and that's a big one for most people. They don't know how I'm going to get there, and what you do is you start talking yourself out of it as you have to have information in order to proceed, you end up talking yourself out of it, because what happens is that your ego leaps in and, trying to protect you. That's what it's trying to do. Will present all the things that could go wrong and all the things that you could lose. One of the things that was interesting, that in our conversation with this client yesterday, was that the ego is like a house of fear, but it's not a house of horrors. It doesn't look like a haunted house. You know what I mean? That it's usually the things that we worry about are the things that we love, the things that we are comfortable in. They're nice. They look nice to us. That's why we don't want to lose them. The ego is mostly afraid of losing what it already knows, what it's already comfortable with. And so we often think that that it's like a house of horrors, or a haunted, like a haunted house, and you're going to go in, there's all this scary stuff. That is not what the ego is afraid of. That is something that is projected when things get blown out of proportion about the things that we cherish that we might lose. So, as an example, and I always remember this example from years ago, a client came to me and said, the angels told her to move, that she needed to move. And so this was very frightening. And we've all been there when we've had this realization that we need to change. And it comes to us unexpectedly, right? It just sort of throws us off because we're all comfortable. It's sort of like that commercial that song goes da 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 da. You're in this blissful state. You just got everything put into place. You're feeling all settled, and boom, inspiration throws you for a loop, right? Or the universe, something manifests on the physical plane, and somebody introduces a new idea, or someone suggests, like an employer, that you're going to be making a change, in position, whatever it is. The minute that your ego hears that you hear it, your ego reflects on everything that you're comfortable, and then where you're going is totally uncomfortable for it, and then in that moment you blow things out of proportion. So when I asked her what exactly did they tell her, she said to look for a new home. And then I asked her, because I remember when I was teaching reading in first grade, and we working with the kids, and how to read directions and to look for the verb. And so I asked her to do the same thing. And so, what's the verb? Look. And I said, what does that mean? And then immediately was because it drew her back into the perspective that they had given her. It was just to look. But the way that she probably was perceiving it was as if they were saying, burn down your house first, or move out of your house, and then start looking, which made her feel like she had no home. But this is what the ego did. And it was her participation in that, because the ego it doesn't work without our free will. So if we have a practice of reacting to fear, and fear is just simply being uncomfortable. Fear is a result of being very comfortable, and then, becoming uncomfortable with a suggestion of change or a new idea. But we blow it out of proportion. We create the horror film. We create that based on these comforts that these attachments we have to the comforts in our life. So, we have to slow down. The house is not being burned down. I don't know this bridge that it's only halfway made, but it does sort of speak to a transition, in that it's something that has to be built. It's something that will unfold. So you will have, it's like you have to take this leap of faith. Once you take these action steps to on what you've been guided to do, then the clarity will come. The more parts of the puzzle will start to activate. But you have to take that first step. And so that you have to understand that if there's any transition, if you're in any transition, and you are automatically, because quite frankly, the reason why this situation is set up, this fear situation is set up, is because you have an idea that you're supposed to find your purpose and find the right career, find the right family, find all the right things, and then settle into it, and then you're set. Then you've achieved success. But that is never what life was meant to be, nor is it that at all. And the reason that we all feel like we're constantly being challenged or going through it is because you are going against the natural laws of the universe. The universe is about evolution, and change is the process for that evolution to unfold. And evolution is something that is without end. It is vast where we're going. There is no destination. There is just the journey. And so when we get comfortable, we want to settle, we are saying that we don't want to participate in the journey. And that's just not possible. So then when it's not possible, you start to experience this butting of heads in terms of energy, in terms of expression. And what you have to do is really change this way of thinking, this expectation. You have to let go of that. That when you find yourself getting comfortable, that you have to understand that soon enough, something is going to stir the pot, not because it wants to agitate you. And that's the perspective where we blow things out of proportion based on our attachment to the things that we have, which is really by definition what creates the fear that you experience, or the anxiety that you experience. If you are always opening your heart and looking for reading the signs of the process of evolution, the changes that are being inspired through you, and this is what being a creator or creative being is all about. It is about bringing through that process of evolution through your own resources. You are the force that evolution streams through. And when you stand still or resist, it keeps moving through you, but then it builds up like a dam. And when it does, we can't handle, we can handle vast frequencies of creative dynamics, but we cannot contain them. We cannot hold them. They have to keep flowing through us. So I'm not quite sure if this is what those two things mean, but I feel like in this week, you really need to be very focused on what ideas are coming to you, finding ways to embrace, and if anything, finding ways to reframe this activity. And it seems like that we've been talking about anxiety, and I mean, I think most people have anxiety. I just think that some people it's more chronic, and I'm not trying to, suggest that whatever plans or discussions you have with your doctor, just offering something else for you to think about in that whole process. Um, I know I deal with it. I don't know how chronic it is for me, but I do experience it. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't. Um, and and this may be overly simplifying it, but it's just how it's coming through now. And I think um, if we learn to look at the process that's creating these feelings of frustration, irritation, it's just not about anxiety, but it's about all the forms that fear um, takes or manifests for each of us, to be able to identify sort of a possible root for it, and an awareness that we can help alleviate the way we see the world. So again, like, you wouldn't believe the amount of anxiety that I had just to, you know, set up this LLC, because when it comes to papers and documents and business, like, I am totally, I feel inept. Um, and so, and I used it to prevent me from taking this step. Um, and then really, because it meant being more responsible here, being more responsible to the purpose that I've been given. And that's another part of it as well. We are, when we're afraid to leave what we're comfortable in, and then we're afraid really of the response, the increase, and what we think will be the increase in responsibility. And there is that component, but it's just not the way we think about it. So, and all of that is resistance, and when we resist, we're holding the energy within ourselves. We're stagnating, and it stagnates. And when something stagnates, then it festers. So it festers into um, all of these various symptoms, and it creates a totally different effect on the way that we live our lives. All right, so let's take a look and see which archangel we're working with this week. Okay, and this is Archangel Amethyst, which the Pisces we're working with for this month. I have this card come up for myself as well. And Archangel Amethyst um, was a twin flame of Archangel Zadkiel. Okay, and they're writing yes. And their etheric retreat is over Cuba. So Archangel Amethyst purifies or transmutes energies. That's what Archangel Zadkiel works with, the violet flame. And you can work with amethyst. This is an amethyst here. It's a very light amethyst. I have another amethyst just sitting on the table. And this is another amethyst crystal as well. I'm not going to have really room to put these here. I'm going to have to move them. But I'll just leave them here for now while we're looking at this card. And so you can work with the amethyst crystal when you want to connect with Archangel Amethyst. And she gently sort of transmutes the lower energies, okay, around anything. So this is telling me that there's going to be sort of an ascension jump or leap for most of you. And this process will be where you might be going through, so maybe that's the need for the firemen, that the week might be kind of heated in a sense, in terms of you transmuting and processing a lot of things. So what this might mean is that a lot of situations might come up for you in your life. So be aware, working with her, like of the areas where you see issues or things that you need to release. Right? These things that may come to your mind, about things that you need to let go of, things that are no longer serving you, anything that's stagnating, any fear that's holding you back or resisting. Now, the thing about this is the work that you think you need to do. So if you go into fix it mode, you're just gonna activate it even more, because fixing something is giving credence to something that's not true in the first place. You never need it to be fixed. You're always safe. You're always taken care of. Everything you need, your soul automatically calls upon it for you without you even being aware. Everything that you need, your soul calls upon it for you. You must accept that it is calling for those things that you perceive as not pleasant. Because you got to remember that this is a school. And so your soul will, with your guides, will create the events that will provoke your healing and your liberation. And what are you being liberated from? The illusions. Because you're never, not one moment, have you never been whole. There's not one moment that you were stained or blemished. Your soul, this is not possible. The only thing that is possible is your ability to create realities of suffering, or anything between that, to blissful and success. All right. So when you are not feeling your best, or you're feeling like life is not working for you, you have to understand that your soul has called forth that lesson, that school, that classroom, for you to undo what you've done, to uncreate the illusions. And in that, and in the outcome of that, if we don't get stuck in the drama of it and simply just recognize that there is something that I need to be aware of. There is something that I need to let go of so that I can be restored to my own state of joy and freedom. So whatever she brings to your awareness in this week, don't fight with it. Don't beat up on yourself. That's one way of fighting with it. Don't judge yourself. That's another way of fighting with it. Don't think to yourself, I gotta fix myself. Just apply awareness. Just say, I need to be aware. I want to be aware. And this will allow her, and it will allow you to have the realization, the revelations, the epiphanies, the enlightenment that will liberate you. Okay? I want to put it in that simple way, because we all spend a lot of time trying to fix things. And they're appropriate when they're inspired to you. But when you go after them because you think that's the way you do everything, especially as people, spiritual healers, we think, well, I can't be like this, so I got to fix this, right? Just, if you remember my daily writing on the 18th, a week ago Friday, I didn't want to do anything. And when I didn't want to do anything because I just was in that place, they it came through most clearly. They showed me how I was in this state, the situation. You got to remember, this is God knowing itself. And you're never impure. So the only way to not continue, because your ego will always, when you resist it, it will persist with the illusion. So you have to let go. You have to let go of the idea that there's something wrong with you, and be open to the awareness of what illusions you need to, the patterns of behavior or shifts or changes that you need to embrace in order for you to no longer entertain that idea. All right, so the card says purify your life with love. So instead of trying to fix the problem, I say implement the solution. Begin a practice of love. You become aware that there is an issue that needs to be resolved. You can't do that. Your angels do that for you. They transmute. What you need to do is then focus on the what you want to replace it with, the loving act or pattern or behavior or habit that you want to replace it with, because it takes practice to undo the illusion, because it took practice to build it in. All right, so let's take a look at the cards for the beginning of the week. And here comes the Queen of Air. She's perfect for this because she's all about releasing and clearing out things, right? So I often associate it with the sign of Libra. So it's creating balance, setting things right. And the only way to do that is to be aware of the truth, not to keep emphasizing the illusion. When you're in that awareness, you automatically break the chain with the illusion. Awareness is the first point of healing. And from that awareness, if you let awareness take you, it will take you up, up, up through paths of enlightenment, leading to wisdom. And it will guide you, it will help you to see through that enlightenment and wisdom what you no longer need to entertain. It will release you from the responsibility or obligations of them, the things that are holding you back. So this is someone who's nurturing, because she's all queens of water, but she's this air, this logic. So it's about a balance and between the mind and the mind and the heart. And it's a willingness to see the truth, no matter how much it might hurt, no matter how much it might disturb you, that you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because that means that you are no longer attached to things through the perspective of your ego. It does not say you have to throw things away, except with those, there are things that are holding you back. Because the universe, if they make you aware of that, then that means there's something better to replace it. And if you're going somewhere, if you're evolving into a better version of yourself, or part of your life is doing so, that means that you have to untether yourself from those things that belong to that old paradigm, so you can embrace the new level of expansion and abundance that belongs to you in the new paradigm. All right, let's take a look and just see her little wise owl there. So just be wise, be discerning. All right, so here we see the two of air, which represents someone struggling. Okay, and so I really feel like you're you're going to be struggling between the comforts of what you know versus the possibilities, the hopeful possibilities of what you don't know, and vacillating between them constantly. You know, it might be something like, oh, these wonderful memories, but here's something that might fulfill you. It might be a dream that has always you've always wanted to fulfill, and now the opportunity is here, but can you let go of all these beautiful memories? And you're not letting go of the memories, you're letting go of the things that maybe remind you of those memories or help you to feel connected to them. But do you really need those things to honor the love you have within yourself? Because the loving memories are within you. I'm not saying this is necessarily what might be the case in every person's situation, but just as an example, and you could probably work with that or see aspects of that playing out. Okay. And let's take a look at the card for the end of the week. We have the Seven of Air. Okay, so this card for me, especially ever since I've seen this card, changes how I think about the Seven of Air and what's traditionally thought of when they see this card. Everybody thinks that this card is a thievery, or somebody who's been deceptive or manipulative. It could be, but in this case, I feel like when angel puts on this bird face, she's doing so in order to get into their shoes, in order to be able to communicate with them. And I think that is just the most beautiful depiction and understanding of this card. And so it tells me that you might feel like an imposter. The changes that are being proposed seem foreign to you, and they don't feel like you yet. But you might have to do some role playing. Put yourself in your new shoes in order to really be able to find yourself, that higher version of yourself. This may mean also that it's important for you right now. Let's say if you are, being promoted as a supervisor, or you want to be a supervisor, or whatever it is that you want to become, you have to start taking the small steps to start playing out that role. So if you want to become whatever you want to become, then you need to start, maybe one way you could start reading books on how to become a supervisor, just the idea. Or if you want to become a painter, then start taking classes, right? Or if you can't afford to take classes, go out and buy some drawing paper, look up on YouTube and start, So the thing is, put yourself in that role before you say no. If you're seeing a change is being guided, then start preparing by putting yourself in that role in order to find the connection of what this might feel like for you. And that means that you may have to let go of that illusion, that part of you that keeps telling you you're not capable of doing this, and you're comfortable where you are. So dip your toes. Dip your toes. And, we talk about an ascension leap or evolution. This change, this adjustment will create revolution in your life, right? But it will start the process of evolution, of you evolving into who you are becoming. So you may have this awareness of who you're becoming. But don't be like the Knight of Pentacles who has to map it all out first. Instead, be like the Knight of Wands who just feels that passion and just dives in, takes the plunge into the fire, and discovers, experiments. All right, let's take a look at the card I've already pulled from the bottom of the deck. And it's the King of Water. So this card says, to me, it's about being true to yourself. It's about being comfortable in your own skin. And I feel like this is something you need to develop, work with. All right. And the only way for that to happen is that you have to, first of all, they're writing the word confession again, be honest, own your desires, any little fire, because all the kings have fire element plus their suit. So any little passion or desire that you have, that fire, that passion is leading you to a level of mastery. Because you think about all fire, you put something in the fire, it refines it, right? So whatever passion you feel, or whatever's inspired to you, or change that's inspired to you, put yourself out there. Start getting into those, putting yourself into those shoes. Start, and this is how you become more comfortable in your skin. This is how you break through that barrier of fear. Because once you take the step, your emotional language shifts because you have more facts rather than assumptions. So like once let's just say, you say, well, I'm being told to paint, or I'm being told to move to a new house. And I just can't imagine living anywhere else. It'll be horrible, I won't know anybody, blah, 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 blah. But if you go to a neighborhood and you look, and you see the houses that are open, and then you go talk to the neighbors, you might find that you have a lot in common with these neighbors, and that you might really enjoy it, and that it's not going to be as lonely. So the only way to really be true to yourself and to really get comfortable in your own skin is to follow that spark of inspiration, follow your heart, follow your passion. And it will lead you to more clarity, more revelations, more understanding, so that you shift and start to become comfortable with this change. So the angels, as you do this work, this is implementing the solutions rather than resisting or focusing on your fears or trying to fix your issues. You implement the solutions. And do you see how this makes it easy for the angels to step in and to transmute, to untether you, to free you? Don't ever sit around worrying. I know what it's like. And I know how much you can stagnate when you do that. Trust. Take a step. It can be a baby step. It can be any step that you are comfortable with. But know there's going to be some level of discomfort. It's just part of the process of evolving. All right, and it looks like we have all the cards of like this blue spectrum here. So, it's sort of like this transmutation in the realm of thoughts and emotions. And this will happen as you take action. It's your application of what you're inspired to do that will begin that process of transmutation. And you can work with amethyst to instill a sense of courage. You can also call upon Archangel Michael to give you courage. But also the amethyst crystal will help you to dissolve your fear. It will soothe your ego's fears and amplify your spiritual gifts in terms of clairvoyance, so that you get more intuitive awareness and clarity, and it'll promote a feeling of trust and alignment. So as you work through this, I feel things just sort of evening out. So they're right in crystal. So if you have amethyst, you work with it to offer you enlightenment about what's going on, enlightenment about what you're doing and what the choices that are being presented to you. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful, beautiful week.